You get a lot of people in here looking for swords for the zombie apocalypse. Would you like to go through some of the options you typically show them?
Okay. If we're starting with the budget swords, we always start with the Japanese swords. Japanese swords are much more common, much more readily available, and they make a lot more of them, and they actually make them quite well. So we start with our sort of budget cutting range, which is this one here. These are available in different colours, but this is a blue one. They're a full tang, they're differentially heat treated blades, and they're only $139. They're easy to use for most people because they're two-handed. They're quite strong, quite solid, quite heavy duty for the money, and yeah, best thing is they're affordable. They're only $140. So yeah, they're a good starting point. But they have their limitations. They're not terribly tight in the binding. They're not terribly well heat treated, so they're going to be relatively easy to bend, and the binding in time can come undone and get a little bit rattly in the handle. They will keep killing the zombies though. You just might need to straighten them out a little bit afterwards. As you step up in price, you obviously get better quality. I kind of like these Bujinkan Ninjutsu swords. These are a clay tempered blade. They've got much tighter binding, so they're less likely to fall to pieces, and less likely to be a drama, as you use them in time. They're a clay tempered blade, so they are stronger in the blade. They've got a hard front edge and a soft spine. Again, very, very solid. They'll last a long time, and because they've got the long handle. And quite a short, thick blade, they're quite manoeuvrable, good in small spaces, light, well balanced, and quite manoeuvrable. Beyond that, we can go to something like the Tactical series. The Tactical series are quite good in that they have no binding to come undone. They have no timber in the scabbard. They're a fiberglass scabbard, so they don't tend to hold water and moisture. They've actually got a little hole in the scabbard there so water can run out of. The blade itself is a true tempered blade, not clay tempered. True tempered blades tend to be more rugged and tough in that they don't bend, however they don't hold an edge as well, and the edge can be rounded off or damaged a little easier. They don't tend to hold as long. Downfalls with that is hitting hard targets, they can roll over and become blunt quickly. Without having a binding, these panels here, they can get loose and they can start to move around in time. But they're a good sort of, again, good solid, rugged sort of sword. They're a 5160 spring steel, so they're a high silicon, and quite rugged and quite tough.
Quite lightweight.
And quite light, yeah. It's $260. The katana is a little blade heavy, in my opinion. The wakizashi, which I don't have any at the moment, are a much more suitable sword, I think, for the zombie apocalypse. Let's hope that never comes. Moving on to something like the Ninjato. This is the practical shinobi.
And who's it by?
Sorry?
Can we get who these swords are made by?
Yeah. Okay, these ones are basically a generic company in China that makes swords, and you can have, they'll order swords and make them any way you want. And what I do is I option these budget ones. I get them hand sharpened so that they tend to pass through the target a lot smoother, so the profile of the blade is much smoother and cleaner. The reason for that is there's less stress on the fittings and less stress on the handle, because as I said, that's probably their biggest downfall. The blades are quite good, it's just the handles aren't terribly strong with that binding. The binding is actually there to hold the handle together and stop it from splitting. The tighter it is, obviously the longer a sword will last. Secondary, it does help you grip the blade, and being quite loose, it will move around and eventually come undone. So these swords, again made by the same company as this, I've had them to option it. Obviously I've asked for different lengths of handle and blade, but I've also had them bind the handle quite tightly and properly. This one here, the tactical katana, is made by Hanwei, Kaz Hanwei. They're a pretty big name in the sword industry, and yeah, they're known for their rugged sort of swords, and they've got a good. If they do have a problem, they replace them, no problem at all. This shinobi, practical shinobi, again is another Hanwei, and again, you know, they're quite a good sword, well made, and if you do have a drama, they back their products up. We can go on to something like the Modachi, like this one here. Again, this is a generic brand. This one here is just the carbon steel one. It unfortunately has the not so tight binding, but it makes up for it in cool factor. It will do the job, but again, a little bit easy to bend. However, price-wise, $299 are quite reasonable. You kind of can't go wrong for a sword that's 150 centimeters and looks this cool. And as I said, it will do the job. You might just have to straighten it out in between zombies. Or just leave it bent and it'll still cut in half. I don't think the zombie cares whether it's slightly bent or not. So they're pretty cool. Full tang, quite tough. You can see a little bit more flex in the blade, which will give you trouble after a while. But still, for the money, they're quite good. When you start getting to this size sword, clay tempering is probably not the best idea. You more want something that's shrew tempered, but you can't have everything. So yeah, that's probably a good starting point. There are others more expensive that you can get, but these are generally what most of our customers are chasing. And later on, they might buy something a little bit better.
Now, a lot of people are probably interested in folded steel. Would you like to give a comment on that in terms of, you know,
Strength
cutting performance and durability?
Okay. Folded swords, all things being equal, are really not that much better than the modern monosteel blades. If you have a well heat treated monosteel blade and a well heat treated folded steel blade, the monosteel, while it won't be quite as strong, they will both do most of what we expect from a sword. Like they will both, you know, cut a zombie in two, if you like. You know, it's just the folded steel one might be able to cut maybe 2.5 as opposed to 2 for the well heat treated monosteel blade. So it really, there's no real advantage other than aesthetics. But again, people will argue otherwise. And you know, when you get down to your more expensive, you know, better heat treated and made custom blades as well, then yeah, there might be a difference. But realistically, they both will cut the zombie's head off, so it doesn't matter really. And yeah, they're aesthetically folded steel blades like this one here. This one's clay tempered and folded. You will see a hum along the front edge, so that's your hardened front edge. But you'll see a nice wood grain patterning through the steel, which is beautiful. But the problem is, as soon as you start cutting with a sword, you tend to scratch it, and after a while, you won't be able to see all the beautiful folding. So it's you don't really want to have too nice a sword to look at because you don't want to hurt it then. And this is one of those swords. These are again made by a generic manufacturer. However, I've had them optioned up with doing a full rayskin wrap. So the rayskin is actually wrapped the entire way around the handle. It's joined in the centre there. The reason why it's joined in the centre is it's offset to the joins in the timber, which is on this, obviously on these sort of sides here. That way, rayskin is very strong and stops the handle from splitting. Combine that with very, very tight binding. They're quite a tough, strong handle, and they last a long time. And then, you know, you've got the clay tempered folded steel blade. It's absolutely beautiful. And they're only these are $550, $600 swords. They have polished buffalo horn for your fittings. So around here, that's polished buffalo horn, the Kurikata, the Kojiri, they're all buffalo horn. Rayskin around the saya helps stop the saya from splitting. And yeah, they're good sort of close representation of what a traditional Japanese sword is. And yeah, excellent value for money. In fact, this sword is the best value for money in the store. I generally don't recommend it for killing zombies though, because it's just too pretty to ruin, I think. Yeah, you're better off probably sticking to something a little cheaper. Or you can go to the more expensive Hanwei swords, which aren't as pretty in the blade, but they're probably a little more rugged in the fittings and the fit and finish of all of them.
Are there any other swords you would recommend other than the katanas and Japanese blades?
There are. I do like the Viking style swords and the single-handed swords. This is one of the Hanwei Godfred Viking swords, perhaps the best sword on the market for production swords anyway. They're a folded steel blade or a Damascus steel blade. The fittings of Damascus steel, very beautifully fitted. Like the scabbard is covered in obviously leather, suede leather. The stitching's beautiful. The way everything fits is excellent, and it's just a beautiful sword. But as I said, the best thing about this sword is the balance. It feels so light and maneuverable. Could easily be used one hand. And with the use of the shield in the other hand, it would be a very formidable target. Probably not the best sort of zombie killing thing, because most people need something that's just easy to use, and in Japanese swords, being two-handed are easy to use for the average person. But yeah, I think with that shield, you can shove them off, punch them with the shield, and then cleave them with one of these, and these would have no problem taking the head off. And yeah, it's an amazing sword, and really it's the benchmark for all single-handed swords. It's so well balanced and so beautiful.
And how much is it?
It's $700, so it's a fairly expensive sword. The Tinker Pierce line, which I don't have any at the moment, his Hanwei Tinker Pierce line. They have a Viking sword, which is quite good. They also have a Norman sword, which is quite good. But again, both of them being single-handed is probably not the ideal zombie weapon. Moving into the European two-handed swords, Hanwei make quite a few. Probably the best would be the Tinker Great Sword of War. It's probably the most well-balanced. It's quite a thin blade at the tip, so it passes through the targets quite well. And it would be fairly equal in performance to the Japanese style, and quite a good, solid, rugged sort of sword. However, price-wise, again, you're looking around $400, so it's probably not the most affordable. That's why we kind of stick to these $140 to sort of $200, and sort of $200 to $300 range. It's affordable. They generally have, good blades, good handle fitting, so they're quite rugged for the money. They're not the best sword, but they are sort of surely good value. So yeah. But other than that, that would probably be about it. Most of your movie swords are them designed to hang on the wall, look pretty, and that's it. And yeah, not at all recommended for use. You might get to use them once or twice, but beyond that,
So no Hello Kitty katana?
no, absolutely not.
Oh, I'm heartbroken. Alright, so how can people get in contact with you?
Okay, you can get on our website, which is obviously www.warsword.com.au, and you can order online. Yeah, we have everything you see here will be on the new website.
And you will be moving to a new address?
We'll be. We're right next door. It's a larger premises. We'll have much more space than we have here, and many more swords available in stock. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to move in the new store.
Alright. And the address is on the website?
It is. Obviously shop 7, 828 Old Cleveland Road, so we'll be shop 6, 828 Old Cleveland Road, Carina in Brisbane.